one and all, and welcome back to another thrilling episode of Off the Dome. I'm your humble interviewer, Jordan Brown. With me for the very first time is our enchanting Estie. Say hi, enchanting Estie.
Hi, enchanting Estie.
Alex, thank you so much for joining me. This is so exciting. I had planned on talking to you about Bitcherton, and then a trailer for Never Stop Blowing Up dropped like mid-week while I was trying to find like your contact information basically, and I was like, oh well, now this is just like win-win for me. But I want to start with a really important question.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jordan.
Yeah, sorry, at some point I stopped. I would like you to rank the improv scene: Toronto, New York, LA.
Whoa,
And really
okay.
make some enemies here.
Wow, okay. So I was born in Toronto, but I have not lived there as an adult, and I don't know the comedy scene there. Have never seen a comedy show there.
Fair. So we can put that third. Easy third then.
Definitively the worst improv scene of the three. No, I hear it's great there. I would actually, now I'm like, oh, I want to go see a show there. And then I spent 10 years doing comedy in New York, and moved to LA a few years ago. I don't know what the New York scene is currently like, but it'll always have a place in my heart. That 2012 to 2021 is when I did improv there, and I saw shows for a year in 2011. And there's so many talented people in LA that I don't know yet, and the ones that I do are so kind and so funny. So it'll be a personal ranking. New York, LA, Toronto, just from the amounts of time I've spent in each.
Entirely fair. I'm guessing you have no idea who I am, which is fine. Most of your co-stars don't either.
I know you've interviewed all of them.
I'm working my way. I haven't gotten to Iffy and Carolyn yet.
Okay. Well, I know you're interviewing my Bitcherton co-stars, but I know that you got all the D20 people. So
I do have a lot of D20 people. Yeah, I'm weirdly popular on TikTok in ways that I don't understand. So D20 people like Rick Perry, and we talked to Reka yesterday.
Amazing.
So, yeah. Also, another just like absolute feather in my cap of we were going to talk about Smarty Pants, and then the trailer for Never Stop Blowing Up happened, and I was like,
oh my gosh,
cool. Now I get to be the first person to do a Never Stop Blowing Up interview, which is exciting.
That is cool. Yeah, it's a little secret we were all keeping.
Yeah. It's fun. So I was also keeping a bit of a secret because I knew Iffy and Izzy were in it since like March. And I've just been like sitting on that information, which is difficult when you just want to be like, guess what, gang?
Yeah, that's a feat. Had you talked to them in March?
I talked to Iffy in March about it because I moderated the PAX East panel for Actually.
Oh, awesome.
So yeah.
And then did Iffy let it slip that Izzy was in it?
Yeah, we did.
I want it on the record.
Yeah, Izzy did not tell me. Yeah, it's very funny because anyway, it doesn't matter. Never Stop Blowing Up looks amazing. Bitcherton is amazing because I've listened to the pilot episode, and obviously Mentopolis also amazing. But a thing that I haven't gotten to see, but I bet is amazing, Really Good Driver.
That's my short film that we just finished post-production and we're submitting to festivals. It's got a couple coming up, and then we'll see if any pop up in Austin. I think I submitted to something in Austin.
South by Southwest? I mean, that is a very popular film festival.
I know. I haven't submitted to that one because of cutoff dates, but I'll check if it'll be eligible for next year or not.
You could have it be the Texas premiere. I've looked deep. I'm deeply involved in South by stuff.
Oh, really? That's
I
awesome.
don't work for them in any way. But like, I believe Texas premiere also like qualifies it to be like eligible to be premiered at South by.
Oh, great. That's great to know.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I think deadlines are like October or something. I don't know. They're real late for like film stuff.
Yeah, I think so. We started like trying to submit to things in like February, March, and that was like, oh, well, we definitely missed South by for this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. I'm so excited. So I want to track your trajectory. Well, Bitcherton, also, by the way, as of recording, 8625 in terms of like how much money you've raised on the Kickstarter.
Whoa,
Um,
that's great. In like
yeah,
a day?
in a day.
That's
So
amazing.
I it turns out Kickstarter has like a projection, and you're either gonna make it or not. I don't know. The projection's hard. The
Okay.
line goes above 30,000, and that seems good.
Oh,
But then it's
cool.
kind of like
Okay.
a like when they show like where a hurricane is gonna hit, and there's like here's where we think, and here's where it might. The here's
Okay.
where it might is just all over the place.
Got it. Okay. Is the projection like only the project admin, or anyone can see the projections?
I mean, I think anyone can. I'm not an
That's
admin,
cool.
so
I'm gonna go look at all the projects.
yeah. Yeah. So anyway, it's very exciting. I backed because doing my due diligence over
Heck
here. I
yeah.
also very much enjoyed the first episode. But I do want to get the trajectory of you from to Dimension 20. My headcanon has always been Rick and Morty, Siobhan, Dimension 20. Is that generally how it happened, or is it like
Whoa.
it's entirely separate? Okay, even
That's
better.
interesting. I guess front facing that does seem, yeah. No, I've known Brennan since I started improv in like 2012 in New York. I think I told him this when we were filming Mentopolis, but like I have a memory of being like fresh in 101 201 and going to the weekly improv jam at UCB East in the East Village in like 2012. And there's this like improviser that was so good, and I was like total improv nerd, knew all the house team members, knew like all the like major indie improv teams. So I knew this person wasn't on a house team yet, and they just like blew everyone out of the water and were so supportive, and like it felt like they were just a seasoned veteran. And it was Brennan, and I think he was like maybe a level or two ahead of me, but yeah, I can't remember the first time we met, but that's my first memory of Brennan. And then he was on house teams shortly after that, and playing wizards and other great, very versatile, all kinds of characters. But I remember
No,
the
he can only play
wizards.
wizards. It's fine.
Yeah,
You can
it's
say
just
it.
that's just what stood out to me. Yeah. And so then he moved out to LA, and Siobhan I also knew from UCB in New York. We were never on the same team, but our sketch teams were on the same night. So we were both on mod night, and I was on one team, and she was on the team we were paired with. And I would name the teams, but I don't remember which ones they were. And yeah, she was always looking out for. She actually sent me the college humor application when I was still living in New York, and then I think I just never submitted it. I am not great at time management, as I was 15, more like 16, 17 minutes late to this.
No
And
one needs to know that. Hey, I found
well,
the projection on Kickstarter because I was just fucking around.
I
So,
just, okay, good. I just want to tell on myself that like 2 nights ago, my friends were like, let's hang out at 8. And I got there at like a few minutes before 11.
oh
And
no,
this is
that's
PM.
yeah.
And they live a 2-minute drive from me. So I'm working on it. This is one of the worst, not worst week, like a week where it's a little rougher than others. Anyways, okay, so Siobhan had recommended me for that, never submitted. And then recommended me for Rick and Morty, I think a season before I got hired. So I've just been really grateful that she was always looking out for me, and it was so fun to get to play with her on Mentopolis.
Yeah. Mentopolis was so fantastic. Conrad is just look in a season of incredible performers. And I will say, like, I wasn't familiar with you before you came on. I was so blown away with how good you are.
Oh, that's so
Like
nice.
instant favorite of the table, and that's really saying something because they're phenomenal improvisers at that
I
table.
mean, that table, I was so starstruck. It was so fun.
It was so much fun. And I will say, I'm one of the people who was like, I don't know, 3 weeks deep before I was like, Conrad Shins, I get it. Like,
I've heard that before. Conrad was just gonna be named Conrad Conscience, and then everyone else's name was so much cooler that I was like right before camera started rolling, I was pointing to my character sheet of like, I have a change. Glad to know it didn't pay off.
it absolutely paid off. It made such a good slow burn because it's one of those things. It's like I don't know if you've watched Very Important People, but Brian David Gilbert was on it and he played Avery Goodman, and it's A Very Good Man.
I haven't
And
seen that up yet.
and so, like, it's one of those things where just me saying this, someone watching this video for the first time is going to put those two things together, and they're gonna be like, "I didn't get it until now," and it's a delight whenever that happens. I'm really curious about character creation. I'm also curious about how concerned were you that Brennan, I'm going to kill that dog, Lee Mulligan, was going to come after Justin? Because I was very worried about it.
I didn't know he had this name. I would have never said yes to doing anything with him if I knew. I didn't know. I wasn't worried, but now I'm worried. He didn't kill him, did he?
No, but there was a moment in it was either one of the first, I think it was one of the first episodes where like Conrad is about to be shot and Justin jumps up and
yes.
Brennan is narrating it, and I fully was like, Brennan's shooting
I was
the dog,
really worried
you monster.
in that moment.
And I guess technically Justin died at the end because he was, like possessed by evil spirits, and then you saved him and brought him back. But you saved him and brought him back, so it doesn't really count. But Brennan very much leans into I'm gonna kill that dog mentality.
I was really worried in that first moment you described. Yeah, I remember that. I think just my memory of playing Conrad was just like, okay, lean into that, Brennan. If you do this, it'll be the saddest choice. Conrad will forgive you, and that'll haunt you more.
Conrad will look at you and say, "You're my best friend," after you kill his dog. So good. Yeah, I'm so how was character creation for Conrad versus Liv Schuyler? Truly another fantastic name with I have to imagine unintentionally pun isn't the right word, but whatever it is.
I think with Conrad, Brennan and I had a phone call before. It was either we had like a little cast Zoom while everyone was still in different locations. And then I think Brennan called to like try to. I hadn't really settled on a character yet, but I feel like playing a little boy feels very much in my wheelhouse. And then with Never Stop Blowing Up, I like almost felt a little more pressure of like, okay, I think Conrad won some hearts, so I'm not really sure how to follow that up. And then also, in terms of like, without giving too much away, I'm like, oh, this setting, I'm not sure a little boy could fit in quite as nicely. And Liv Schuyler is a nod to Liv Tyler's character in Empire Records.
It is one of the 3 favorite movies of Liv Schuyler: Empire Records, yes. Scarface, and Clueless. Mm-hmm. One of those is a little different than the other 2, but I really like the choices.
She contains multitudes. Actually, yeah. I think Brennan came up with that list, and I just responded, "This is perfect."
One of the things that I love about that transition, though, from Mentopolis to Never Stop Blowing Up is Conrad is like a tiny boy, and then in the Jumanjification of Liv, you play King. I want to make sure I get the name right.
Kingskin.
Kingskin. Thank you.
Kingskin.
My notes are all over the place. Kingskin, the largest man possible.
Yes, a kingpin ripoff, knockoff,
an homage.
Yes. And just thought the phrase "Kingskin" was perfectly awful. And also just the same like start of the phrase, a start of the word as Skylar. So
Yeah, it works very, very well. I
wait
do
till you
love.
find out Kingskin's full name.
Oh, I can't wait! What a tease. Yeah, I loved in the trailer, Kingskin, the you open a door and it's just a brick wall and you just go, you just like squish for someone into a brick wall. I can't wait for anti Conrad to be born at that table.
I think that was
Say,
the goal. Liv Schuyler, just hot and some layers in there, and then Kingskin, big and violent.
it also seems like a table of maximum chaos.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And I'm here for it. How did you feel being brought in to like such chaotic players?
Yeah,
Most of whom you hadn't worked with before.
Being brought in even to Mentopolis, I was like, oh shoot, I'm so intimidated. And then the second time I was like, I'm somehow just as intimidated in an entirely different way. Because they were all like, Rika I've known for years from New York. Some of the others I had known from being around in LA, and some were brand new to me, but everybody already knew each other. So like a little bit of like the Mentopolis thing of like, oh no, I'm the new kid again. But yeah, everyone was so welcoming and so chaotic, and it was just fun to like know the rules of the playground and see how many we could break like together, and then also like surprising each other. Yeah, there's so much of the season I don't remember, but I'm like, oh, I think we somehow like every episode tried to top the previous one, and the first one already felt like we had broken something. So we'll see.
Incredible. Yeah, I mean, you also get the bonus of, I mean, somewhat already knowing the system of like coming in and like having at least a good handle since it is another Kids on Bikes mod, which obviously I think also leans so much, when I talked to Reika about this, like leans so much into she'd said that like they're just like these improbable, you just keep like the dice just keep exploding
Yeah.
as you're like, I'm crawling on the ground, explode, I'm up on my feet, explode, I punch the bad guy in the face, like those incredible moments that the dice are really leaning into.
Yeah.
That had to feel good, and I have to imagine, so let's compare full projection of a man falling out of a window for Mentopolis versus massive explosions. How was the dome this time?
Yeah, I feel like I remember Mentopolis being like, I mean, the projections both times incredible. I want to say, I don't want to get. I think the names
Derek
of
Christensen and Ruby O'Brien.
Yeah, I was
got
gonna
you
say
covered.
Derek and Ruby. I was gonna be impressive, and then you
I'm
took it
so
away
sorry.
from me.
I'm
No,
so
it's
sorry.
okay. I just remember Derek and Ruby, and then yeah, it was so cool. Derek was back in like a promoted position for Never Stop Blowing Up, which I love about D20. Is like, oh, they like hire great people and promote them, and yeah, it's just such a great environment. The projections, yeah, I feel like it was a lot of like moods in Mentopolis, and then big reveal at the end of an episode, and then the explosions were great.
Perfect. Yeah, I don't know. Did you see after the first teaser was revealed that people froze the image like on Brennan's reflective sunglasses and tried to determine who the cast was based on the like 1 pixel tall reflection in his sunglasses?
Yeah,
I don't think anyone guessed you.
Somebody sent it to like our like group text, and yeah, the guesses that I saw were interesting. I honored to be mistaken for Zach Oyama.
Yeah, I one of the things that I loved as people were guessing that someone in my Discord was like, "Those are Iffy's shoulders," and that just delighted me to no end. Because
Yeah.
I knew that they were right.
Wow. I still can't believe you were able to keep it in.
Like I keep I'm a good
You're a
journalist. You tell me something off
professional.
the record, gone.
Off the record.
Yeah, that was almost the right word. Never Stop Blowing Up also feels like it's going to be Emmy nominated next year. How are you feeling about that? Rick and Morty's
Is
got
that
Emmy
true?
nominations, right? I don't know. I mean, they're probably gonna try, right? Like, the
I,
reason
I
why I say that is it feels very approachable to like a voting academy because it's not Dungeons and Dragons. It's a much easier system to understand, and the concept of it's a Jumanji in like a magical VHS of 80s and 90s action movies is such an easy pitch to give someone to be like, now you're ready to watch an episode and like watch the madness.
yeah, I mean, that'd be awesome. I was just, because I know a lot of dropout shows are in contention this year, which is so cool. But I remember like one headline. I tend to do the thing of just reading headlines.
Mhm.
Said like, "Oh, Dimension 20 isn't eligible," and I
I can
tried
tell you
to
why.
read why, but I never found out. So I would
That's
love to know.
Dungeons and Drag Queens wasn't eligible because it was only 4 episodes long. It has to be 6 episodes in order to be nominated.
Ah.
So at 10, you're sitting pretty. Like,
Wow, we got it in the bag then, I
yeah.
guess.
What are you going to be wearing to the Emmys for
Oh
Never
my
Stop Blowing Up
god.
next year?
Something tattered.
How late do you think you will be to the Emmys?
Oh no. I hope that I make it in time for the ceremony. I was late to both my own high school graduation and to my brother's wedding last year, in which I didn't know I was the best man.
Oh boy! Like, wait, hold on.
I knew I was in the wedding party, and then I got
Yeah,
there 12 minutes late. His bride to be's, or the bride's dad, like escorted me, and I was like, "Oh my god, my apologies to the bride." And then I got there, everyone was already seated, and my brother was like, "Okay, you're gonna stand right here," and it was right next to him.
he didn't tell you
So
that beforehand. He just like,
I knew I was gonna stand up there, just not
yeah.
where. And then, I had one job and I missed it, but somebody else did it, which was to press the button to play the music for their, uh, the song for the procession, and they
Mhm.
picked the Jurassic Park theme, which I loved.
Amazing. That's delightful.
But I didn't
I'm
get to press the button. Anyways, yes. Okay. So, yeah, finally got an ADHD diagnosis after many years as a teenager being told, I don't know, you're not that, but you're something.
well, congratulations on the diagnosis.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much. I accept.
um, I am. We should talk about Bitcherton, obviously.
Yes.
Did you come to Many-Sided Media through Cannon Fodder, or am I missing a place where you jumped in?
Okay. I guess that was probably my first appearance with them. Again, Brian is someone I've known from New York for like years and years. Yeah, I can't recommend enough doing improv uh, for a decade and just meeting as many people as you can. Yeah, so and then Brian and I actually were like on the same production of a TV show for a little bit as well, and then he just always has so many cool like um projects from like Cannon Fodder, Many-Sided Media, but also like I remember a few years ago he had like a zine of poetry and other creative works that like I wrote a poem for. I was like, okay. Yeah, so I'm just always really excited to stretch different creative muscles through Brian Flaherty.
Yes. I
Yeah.
talked. Yeah, Brian's on the channel. I've literally never done this. If you're here 25 minutes into this interview, subscribe to my YouTube channel, please and thank you.
Please subscribe.
Apparently, that's a thing that works, and I've literally never asked anyone to do it.
I don't know. I'm terrible at online like keeping up with my online presence, but I know cross-platform is important, I've heard.
Yeah. what I've heard. You in Bitcherton, though, you play Estie Bitcherton,
Yes.
the old maid of the family at 23, I believe, about to be
Yes.
24.
Oh my God! Don't remind her.
A lost cause,
Yeah.
despite Davis's best intentions. You were responsible for one of my two favorite scenes. I can't decide which I love more: Katie in a ditch, or
Oh
you
my
reading the
God.
will and reacting to it. Truly so funny.
Katie's ditch entrance is so good. Oh my God.
Yeah, it was. I told the story to her, but like, it was so funny because the internet had gone out at my house, and so I downloaded the podcast and was listening to it, and I heard, like, because it's the vicar and Davis walking along, and you hear Katie's moans from the ditch, and I was like, where is that noise coming from? There can't be any other sound in my house. We can't watch TV. Like, what is this
Oh my
noise?
God.
And then finally I was like, oh, it's in the podcast. And it's like, oh, it's Katie. Katie's character is decided to start life in a ditch.
I forgot that the audio introduction is moans.
Yeah. Yep.
That is startling.
Yes. Yeah, it's so good, but potentially equally as good. Certainly close, if not equal. The last will and testament of the patriarch of the Bitcherton family, and just the wild sexism of it all. And when I talked to Brian, he talked about, like, they had written it, like they'd gone through a couple of edits where it started like kind of sexist, and then they just kept leaning into that more and more. I believe you were learning it for the first time, right, as you were reading it. What was that? What was that like to read it, and also have Patience, the mother of the series, so strongly agree with the sentiment?
I think I didn't realize this was like my viewpoint until talking about it a couple weeks ago, but I think with like improv and performance where I get some kind of say, whenever there's like an awful, terrible opinion, I love leaning into it, as long as it's not like oh, you're outwardly showing something that would make an audience feel uncomfortable and bad. But I think yeah, I was like saying the other day that like, oh, coming up in improv, I always loved playing a lovable bigot. I was once called Archie Bunker without having full knowledge of what that all entails, but I think I get away with it because I'm small. And then I realized like, oh, okay, so what I love is like you embody the bad thing, and then you're punching up, and then also you're punching yourself. I'm just punching myself, which I also love to do, but it works better if I'm the high status bad thing, or it works in a different way. I don't know. I got to work on saying that in a more cohesive way. But
Agree to disagree.
Yeah, I can't exactly remember. I have trouble listening to myself, so I haven't listened to the pilot yet. I will eventually. But yeah, I remember
it might be helpful when you're producing future episodes to have like a
yes, revisit.
better,
yeah, I come up with an entirely different voice, and I mean the voice is just my voice, and character game.
Slight British accent to your voice.
Is there a little bit of like, my memory of it is that, and also the clips that we've posted, I'm like, oh yes, in the beginning I tried, and then I give it up once I realized that Katie has just made the choice to not do that, and I was like, we could do that, and then so yeah, I'm somewhere in the uncanny valley of accents, I think.
Look, Katie not doing the accent absolutely like wrecked me beyond belief. I was not prepared. Like, I've now said this in every interview. I had to Google Bath because I was like, is there a different one than the one in England? Is there an American? And there's not. It's just the one in England.
From Bath.
Yeah, because she was like, I'm from Bath, and I was like, but Bath is in England.
That's so funny.
And I was like, oh no, she's just like very intentionally as like as a low status cousin has chosen to be even more low status of I also don't have the accent I should.
Yeah, I was so shocked and so jealous of her character choice.
I think light British is a fine way to go, or none. Look, do
Thank
whatever you
you.
want.
Even light British is generous.
Just in and out of it, I think, is what you want.
Yeah. In and out.
Just like Kevin Costner in Robin Hood, just sometimes British, sometimes not.
Yeah.
That was there wasn't a question there.
Oh,
But if you have more to say, please do.
You had asked specifically about Cassie's character reading the will.
Yes.
I think, yeah, I don't know. I thought it was a fun balance of like the three of us, like the mom, like also just like filtering everything through those character games of like it wouldn't make sense if you get any hint of her character not believing those things. And so yeah, it was great that she like believed that, and then just have like and also in improv I generally also love to play some version of the straight man of just like calling out the unusual thing while still letting it happen is usually how I like to do it. Yeah,
I mean, it worked. Like I said, it was such a great moment. All of it was such a great moment. I loved that scene particularly. Like I said, those two scenes jump out at me as like the things that made me laugh the hardest. But I enjoyed the entire thing. I enjoyed moving the body quite a bit. I believe it's Carolyn that says, "I'll grab the butt" or "I'll take the butt."
Yes, that sounds right.
Truly fantastic choice there. Yeah, it's super fun. Are you a Regency person, or is
I
this
was
new?
not.
Okay,
It's new to me. I had never even seen the 2000. Is it 2005, 2004? Pride and
yeah,
Prejudice.
the hand flex. I'm on such a wild video delay.
Oh,
And
really? I was
yeah,
just moving my hand, but yes, that one.
yeah,
I had never seen the Keira Knightley Pride and Prejudice until it was like one of the recommended viewings that Brian gave us to prepare for the pilot. And I remember like I loved Succession. Mostly watched all of it in like the last like month that it was coming out. But hated Tom Wamsgams. Could not understand anyone liking him. Could not understand why anyone would like Mr. Darcy. Watched Pride and Prejudice. Was like, okay, I'm in love with Mr. Darcy. Okay, I get it. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Love the movie. I actually haven't seen Bridgerton yet, so is that okay to reveal? But maybe I'll watch them before we record next.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Iffy is embodying the Bridgerton vibe for sure of just like horny character, because he has the horny vicar, which is also just an excellent choice.
Yes, absolutely.
Just like a horny vicar is very good. Also, the lady Bigweather. No, I've instantly lost.
Yes. I'm sorry, I can't help you with the name, but I know you're
yes.
the gossip.
Yes, the
magazine.
reveal. Such an excellent choice in the pilot.
Yeah.
Now, moving forward, you as the audience know every time this person's in a scene, they could be collecting gossip information.
Yes.
It's super, super fun. You also have a bunch of really cool guest stars lined up. As of at least now, Reka, Teo, and Nathan Yaffe have all been announced.
I didn't know that. I just saw the tweet about Teo.
Yes.
They didn't email us. That's awesome.
That's so funny. Brian read the entire list to me. There was one name on the list who was so distracting for me that I missed several other names, and it hasn't been revealed yet.
Whoa. Okay, now I'm self-conscious about like Brian actually sends very comprehensive emails and I don't read all of it. But I don't think he's emailed this.
That's fair. Do you want to in on like the email that he sent to Iffy of like this
He
huge
only
comprehensive?
sent it to Iffy.
No. I'm giving you the like. Feel free, like, don't feel bad about like not reading the emails, because he sent like a huge comprehensive email to Iffy because he didn't know Iffy and was like, "Hey, would you want to be in this with us?" And Iffy wrote back, "Let's boogie."
Yes.
That's it.
I love that story. Yeah.
Yeah. Delightful. Which now is I've now started replying to emails with "Let's boogie."
Oh my god, I would
so
love to
good.
be able to pull that off. I don't think I can.
I think you can. I think you've got "Let's
I
boogie"
will.
energy.
I will respond with "Thank you for thinking of me." I would absolutely love to.
Sorry, and thank you for thinking of me.
What do you think, if he read the whole thing and then wrote "Let's Boogie" or just wrote "Let's Boogie"?
I like to believe he read like the first paragraph and was like, "Let's boogie."
Oh, okay. So that you meant like that email, not that if he got a separate email of this secret big guest star that only if he gets to know about.
Yes, only if he gets to know. I haven't talked to Iffy about the show yet, so I don't know if he knows the guest stars or not.
Okay, cool. I saw him at a show the other night. He was
Nice.
looking shoulders as ever.
He gives very good hugs.
He really does. He lifted me up, and I never thought that would happen to me, and I loved it.
Yeah,
not being lifted in general, but you know.
Yeah, if you see Alex on the street, do not lift. Do not lift.
Unless you're Iffy Wadiwe, and then please.
Yeah, it's very when I first met him, like I said, I did the panel at PAX East with him, and I like met him at the hotel, and like he came in, and like he was like, "Come here," and just like big bear hug, and I was like, "Oh, I wasn't prepared for this. This is very nice."
Isn't it?
Yeah,
you know, this friend
being strong is nice.
Yeah. Well, I feel like there's Iffy. I have another friend who comes to mind in terms of like for years she just like gives the best hugs, and it's just that they're very strong hugs, and like they're like a little bit longer, so you're like, oh, I can relax into this.
Yeah, delightful. Yeah, I got to stand and watch Iffy and BDG did like a meet and greet after the panel, and I watched so many people come up and get like hugs and uppies from Iffy. It was very fun.
That's awesome.
Delightful. I don't know what we're talking about.
We were talking
Bitcherton,
about
probably.
Bitcherton. Guests.
Yeah,
a jaw-dropping guest who you know and I don't know.
I will tell you the moment I hit stop recording. I just don't want to tell you now, because if I did it now, then I would have to edit it out, and that is more work for me than I want to do.
Wow, what a tease for the audience!
Yeah, it's pure laziness. Yeah, but like Reka, Nathan Yaffe, I knew people would be really excited and are about all of the guests that are coming in, and I think it's such a fun idea to have like a guest be driving each episode sort of plot, and then you just get to like live in your character and yes and whatever nonsense is happening. How are you feeling about guest driven episodes?
I'm excited because it's less work for me. Also, I had done Mission to Zix years ago, and just as a guest, and Brian used that as a big comp for this show, and they did it so masterfully. I'm like intimidated by like, oh, I hope we do a good job, but I do love whenever it's like, oh, someone else who is hilarious and talented coming in with their idea, and then we just get to like play off of that. That sounds so easy and so fun.
Yeah, I have not listened to Mission to Zix, but is now like at the top of my I don't know how I'm ever going to catch up with podcast lists.
Oh my gosh. Do you go back and listen to old like podcasts that have finished?
Not usually. I'm clawing my way to try and stay stay current with like 3 podcasts. And like I can't do that. So
I have my weekly podcast that like come out, each day of the week, and it's such a exercise in like letting go of I don't think I fully let go of like completionism with it, but also like I'm a big like rewind because I missed something, and so I have a few where I'm just like trying to train myself of like let it go, it's okay. um, but yeah, there's so many podcasts.
There's so many. I've accidentally started one with Vic Michaelis because we started talking after Very Important People episodes, and I think we've chatted 7 or 8 times now.
Oh my gosh,
It's bonkers. I don't really understand it, and very grateful for it.
that's awesome. What's it called?
It's just generally this, but in podcast form. It's
Okay.
Like, I don't know how to. I'm very bad at all things technology, and so I desperately need to hire someone to make this into like a real podcast that exists instead of just like a thing on YouTube that you can watch.
I mean, yeah. Wait, are you saying the title is generally this, or it's
Oh,
just
no,
generally? Okay,
the title is
I got lost.
off the dome is the interview
Okay,
series I
okay,
do. I
awesome.
think I don't like. There's potentially the name we've been floating around was Who's to Say, because it's Vic's go-to answer whenever I ask them something that they can't
That's
answer.
awesome.
Um,
That's
anyway,
great. Yeah, and I totally relate to the just like I think having a producer is such a like Brian is such a great producer as well as a creative, and I'm like, oh, I wish I knew how to do that or knew more people who do that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to talk to in part of this like interview series that I do. I talked to TJ Dumpster, who is the sound editor for like all of Dropout shows, and I was like, "Hey, when I have money, can I hire you to edit my podcast?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Great. I don't
That's
know where the
awesome.
money's gonna come from, but whenever I can sell out, I'm gonna.
Hell
Um,
yeah.
I'm ready."
The goal is to sell out.
Right. I've tried to pitch Magic Spoon several times that I will lie about their cereal tasting good because it's
Oh my
absolutely
god.
poison.
That's so
But
funny.
they have not taken me up on it so far. Maybe
Wow.
because I include the second part. Um,
I like that you keep going back to them.
yeah.
Yeah. Sell out, pay your friends. Great model.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Speaking of paying your friends, look at this transition. $30,000 as the Kickstarter is not just because Brian has a slush fund that he wants to give, but because it's SAG-AFTRA rates, it's healthcare, it's other things. How delightful would that be for you to have health insurance easily covered for I don't know, however long?
That'd be awesome. I would love that. I would love even more a system where health insurance isn't tied to employment. But for now, I
Yeah.
will settle for this Kickstarter.
We just all have to join Kickstarters to pay for our health insurance. The
Yes, that's
fun
the
world we live
model.
in. I will say, I started that sentence like I had another, like an end to it, and I sure didn't. One of the things that I loved about the podcast is you and Brian Davis, the sort of like very weird relationship that. At least when I talked to Brian, he said that there is more to Estie than we have seen
Mhm,
in terms of like why she is a 23-year-old spinster.
mhm,
And I'm assuming you've got that all locked up in like backstory stuff.
mhm.
How excited are you to get to play out some more of the like, hey, there's a reason why she's not married yet
Okay, so
storyline?
Brian chose to not say the reason.
Correct.
Am I
You can
supposed
if
to
you
also?
want. I don't know.
I think I said it in a different thing. So I'm mostly like, I think it's okay to say because I don't think I did a good job playing it in the first episode. So maybe saying it will hold me accountable to play it more going forward. Um, but the name SD for me came from the letters SD because my original pitch for her was just, oh, she's the slutty daughter. I was like, okay, I will watch some Regency stuff. Okay, I want to play the slutty daughter.
Incredible.
And so, but then I really wanted to balance her out of like, okay, I think she's like she's like a little bit socially unaware, or that's not her priority, and like she absolutely has fun with these like flirtations and maybe scandals, but I also wanted her to be like smart at something and really good at something. So she also has an interest in astronomy, which I learned that is also like we had Brian had sent like research about like, oh, there were these like comets and these other astronomers during that time period, and somebody else was like, oh yeah, like there's a musical about that, and I was like, oh, I didn't realize is that what the Great Comet is about?
I
I don't
couldn't tell you.
wrong place to yeah. I don't want to get it wrong. I'm gonna look it up real quick in case anyone gets mad.
No one's gonna get mad at you.
I'm
Impossible.
so scared of okay.
Slutty
Yeah.
Daughter is an excellent choice, though.
Yeah, the Great Comet. Or Natasha Pierre in the Great Comet of 1812. Anyways, yes, so Estie is the slutty daughter. I don't know how I don't know how well I play that in the pilot, but she is
There's a
definitely
lot. There's a lot going
there's a
on.
lot going on.
Like, you're not getting into the like. It's hinted at because the vicar especially is like, "Hey, come on, Davis. Like, make better choices."
I know. And yet somehow Davis is the one person that Estie is like, nah.
Which is so funny. Delightful. Well, I can't wait for more. Alex, if the folks out there wanted to find you on the various social media platforms that you and I are not good at cross promoting, where could they find you?
I am at Alex Song-Xia, ALEXSONGXIA on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter/X for now.
Until the platform fully explodes. Thank you so much, Alex. This has been so much fun. I'm so excited to watch the rest of the Bitcherton Kickstarter. We'll say Brian told me that if you make $1 million on the Kickstarter, he's going to make a TV show out of it. So fingers crossed.
Another Emmy already.
Another Emmy already.
I gotta make sure I'm on time.
Alex, thank you so much. This is absolutely delightful. You must come back and talk at the end of Never Stop Blowing Up, so we can talk about the madness of that season.
Okay, I'll try to watch it because I don't remember everything that happens.
That's fine. I'll just fill you in on things that happen. You don't have to watch any of it.
Like, what?
Yeah.
Brendan tried to do what?
Yeah. I'll say one of the absolute joys of like the Vic and my podcast thing is I talked to them. Sam Says 3 episode of Game Changer. Vic was on, and there's a moment in the episode where Sam is the premise. Obviously, Sam says, like Simon says, and Sam's prompt is Sam says, "Don't look at this pig," and a tiny pig in a top hat comes out. They're so upset that Sam won't let them look. And so when Vic and I talk, I'm like, did you ever get to see the pig? And they're like, no, we didn't. And then the behind the scenes came out, and it turns out immediately after Sam was like, Sam says you can look at the pig now. And like Vic gets down and like pets the pig. And so the next time I talk to Vic, they're like, I have no memory of it. It's just like fully blacked out, no memory of it at all. Even watching it back, didn't remember it happening.
That's amazing. So, okay.
It's not just you, it's everyone at Dropout.
No memories. I'm gonna adopt that, so I'm no longer lying. I have just blacked out.
Exactly.
Okay,
incredible.
Great.
Thank you so much, Alex.
Thanks so much for having me, Jordan. This was so fun.
Wonderful. And I don't know how to end interviews, so I'm just going to hit stop recording.
Okay, bye.